I have been thrilled to be part of the effort to make sure that every single pediatrician in the country is really well prepared to have these sorts of conversations around vaccine questions or hesitancy or doubt, not only in the exam room, one-on-one with families, but also publicly. This information is spreading on social media. We have got to be there, and we have got to be capable of meeting people where they are, using language that makes sense, relating to parents' concerns, and showing that we have heard them, that we are listening, that we are responding. And so we are spreading out all over the country using social media, in-person meetings, and making sure that the over 67,000 pediatricians who are part of the American Academy of Pediatrics are prepared to engage one-on-one or one-on-a-million to have these conversations effectively.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marx from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We have another important topic. We always do. This one is about what parents should know during infancy and early childhood about getting their children vaccinated. Parents and caregivers want to do everything they can to keep their children safe and healthy, and it's natural to have questions about how best to do that, especially during a child's earliest months and years. During this time when the immune system is still developing and children are most vulnerable, early protection is especially important. Routine childhood vaccination helps build protection as families navigate daycare, school, and other group settings where infectious diseases can spread. Childhood vaccines, including those for whooping cough, pneumococcal disease, flu, and COVID-19, help reduce the risk of severe health effects while also helping to protect siblings and other family members and friends. Our guest today is Dr. David Hill, MD, former chair of the Council on Communications and Media for the American Academy of Pediatrics. He's also the co-host of AAP's Pediatrics On Call podcast. He's ready to discuss with us why the vaccine schedule matters, why immunization is especially important during infancy and early childhood. If you want to learn more, please visit this wonderful website put out by the AAP for parents. It's called healthychildren.org. And before we get to Dr. Hill, a reminder, you can watch all our shows at gotohealthmedia.com. And if you're watching or listening to us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, please give us a thumbs up or a 5-star review so the word can get out to more people. Thanks in advance. So welcome to the show, Dr. David Hill. How are you today?
I am great today, Jonathan. Thanks. How about you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're on the show because I really want to provide evidence-based information to parents about vaccines and what's the best practices for children. So tell us, please, why are vaccines so important for infants and young children, and why are they recommended so early in life?
Thank you so much for that question. Any of us who have had a baby and watched them grow from lying on their backs to rolling over to crawling, walking, running, becoming athletes, whatever, have seen how vulnerable they begin and how they can learn and get stronger over time. The same thing is happening with our immune systems. So newborns, babies, are incredibly vulnerable to a lot of diseases. There are things like influenza or RSV, for example, that if you get them in infancy can be extraordinarily dangerous. And then later in life, they tend to get less dangerous, although something like flu always has some significant dangers, no matter when you get it. The good news is we have an opportunity early in life to help train the immune system, to show it samples of these things and say, hey, next time you see this, fight like heck. Go get this thing. But that may take multiple exposures and multiple opportunities. The same way when you go to the gym. You might have to lift weights for a while before you have gains. The same is true of the immune system. So it may need to see poliovirus samples 4 times before it's ready to really knock out the poliovirus when it sees it. It may need to see measles virus samples twice before the immune system says, hey, I know what that is and I'm going to get it before it gets me.
Thank you for that. How can parents find out what respiratory vaccines are recommended for their children and if those vaccines are covered by insurance? How do we know that?
Great question. So we have websites at the American Academy of Pediatrics, both aap.org and healthychildren.org. that are designed to present information in a really clear and transparent way. Chances are good if you just plug vaccine schedule AAP into your browser, it's going to take you right there. HealthyChildren.org is especially designed to make sure that we have taken parents' concerns and voices into account. It is our parent-facing website. And when you go there, you're going to see information presented mainly by parents ourselves and people who have heard all the questions and heard all the concerns and are really prepared to answer those. Regarding insurance coverage, at this time, when we're talking today, no major insurer has declared that they are going to stop covering any of the recommended childhood vaccines. But you can always go to your insurance's coverage site and see what they're saying today.
I want to encourage people to visit healthychildren.org. I've been there, and you're absolutely right, doctor. It's very parent friendly. And really, it shows, I guess, what you need to do for your kids from infancy all the way through the teenage years. And I really like the way that was laid out. That was a good job.
Thank you so much. We've really put a lot of work into that. And I think parents are worried that if they ask us questions, we're going to get offended. And if you've been doing this for a week, much less decades, you've heard all the questions. And one thing we know, parents are always just trying to make sure that their children are as safe and healthy and poised to thrive and grow as they can possibly be. We know that questions, doubts are coming from a place of love, of care, of concern. And that's where we're meeting parents, right where they are, because, hey, most of us have been there ourselves.
Now, I'm glad you're bringing this up because you're really talking about trust between the doctor and the parent. There's so much confusion and misinformation out there about vaccines right now. Is really the best place to go to your pediatrician and find out what's best for your child?
Yeah, absolutely. I am currently in hospital practice, so I usually see people once, although there are patients I see again and again. But in outpatient practice, I've built relationships with families over decades. I saw babies graduate from high school right alongside my own kids. I took care of multiple children in families, and those relationships are so precious. I don't know why you would trust somebody that you just met, but when you know them, when you've seen how much they care for your child and your family and how hard they work to make sure that you're getting what you need, then you can build on that relationship and lean into it and say, hey, I see that you care. Tell me what you think would be best.
So, doctor, I want to talk about measles and what's happening. Can you tell us what's happening with measles in the United States? Hadn't we eradicated it or gotten rid of it and now it's back? Why is it back? What can we do to stop this?
So we had not eradicated it in the United States as we have, say, smallpox. What we had done was hit elimination status, which means that when there were outbreaks, they were self-limited. They went away on their own. They didn't propagate through the population. But we know that the math of measles is very straightforward. It takes 95% of a population being vaccinated against measles to stop it from spreading in a population. And now in many communities, we have fallen below that critical 95% threshold. And that means that when measles takes hold, it spreads, sometimes unchecked, through the community. I have a friend working in South Carolina who has taken to seeing patients in their cars in the parking lot before they come into the practice to confirm that they have had their vaccines, that the thing they're coming in with doesn't look like measles, so that the other patients in her practice will be safe. And that is a place that is tragic. I'm horrified that we've gotten here, especially because this was a choice that we made to go here. We never had to let this happen.
And why do we think this is happening? What misinformation is out there? What should people know about the safety of the measles vaccine or the danger of getting measles? What misinformation is out there we need to correct?
We have had decades to watch and learn about the effectiveness of measles vaccine, to learn that it is a vaccine that helps children grow, that prevents deaths, that prevents immune dysfunction, that prevents secondary diseases like encephalitis from occurring. That is well known. And parents are hearing things that are just untrue, like getting measles is better than not getting measles, or measles can cure cancer. I mean, absolutely nuts.
Mhm.
disinformation and misinformation that is not grounded in any sort of truth. And we are struggling to make sure that they understand that choosing not to get this vaccine is an incredibly dangerous choice. And when everyone else was vaccinated, you could kind of ride on everyone else taking care of you, because when were you going to see measles? But now that so many other people are not vaccinated, that choice is becoming much more dangerous.
So, if for some reason I've bought into this and my kids are not vaccinated, can I help my child catch up on routine vaccinations if they've fallen behind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is nothing that makes us more relieved than when a parent comes in and says, hey, for some reason, I haven't got my child vaccinated yet, but now I'm really interested in it because I see what the dangers are of this choice. And I promise we will give you a big hug if you're a hugger and welcome you and be thrilled to help get you back on track. And the good news is, just like we have decades of research on when to give these vaccines so that they're going to work and be safe, we also have decades of research on when to catch up. And this happens all the time. Somebody may have just missed an appointment they couldn't get in, or their child was sick. So we know very well how to help people get caught up and make sure that they are as safe as they can possibly be.
Good. So, Dr. Hill, you're the former chair of the Council on Communications and Media for the American Academy of Pediatrics. What kind of work are you doing these days?
You know, I have been thrilled to be part of the effort to make sure that every single pediatrician in the country is really well prepared to have these sorts of conversations around vaccine questions or hesitancy or doubt, not only in the exam room, one-on-one with families, but also publicly. This information is spreading on social media. We have got to be there, and we have got to be capable of meeting people where they are, using language that makes sense, relating to parents' concerns, and showing that we have heard them, that we are listening, that we are responding. And so we are spreading out all over the country using social media, in-person meetings, and making sure that the over 67,000 pediatricians who are part of the American Academy of Pediatrics are prepared to engage one-on-one or one-on-a-million to have these conversations effectively.
Good. And as we've said, folks, the best place to go for information about this is your pediatrician. Establish that trust, establish that relationship. They've got the right information. They're being trained to give you the right information in the right format. So, Dr. David Hill, are there any questions I haven't asked that I should have, or what kind of big message would you like to leave with people today?
You know, I think the big message is that this has gotten very confusing. And as pediatricians, we understand that every parent out there is just trying to figure out the best thing to do for their child. We get that. And that has become a really confusing process. So please know, we are there. We are not scared of your questions. We are not scared of your doubts. We get it. This is hard. So start the conversation. We are ready to listen, and we are ready to answer, and we are ready to build a relationship with you to make sure that your child grows and thrives and enjoys the childhood and beyond that you're envisioning for them.
That's an incredible message. Very heartwarming. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and thank you for having me today.
Good. We've been talking with Dr. David Hill. Again, you can find out more information, and I really encourage you to visit this website, healthychildren.org. We've been talking with David Hill, MD. He's the former chair of the Council on Communications and Media for the American Academy of Pediatrics, and he's also the co-host of AAP's Pediatrics On Call podcast. He's a pediatric hospitalist in Seattle, Washington. Thanks again for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you again so much for having me.
Good. This has been Jonathan Marx with GoToHealth. Remember, you can visit our website and see all our shows at gotohealthmedia.com. And if you're watching or listening to us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, please leave us a 5-star review or a thumbs up. That helps more people get the information. This has been Jonathan Marx with GoToHealth. And as we say at the end of every show, Go to health. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marx in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at GoToHealthMedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with GoToHealth.